What do you want me to say here? It's Dead Games. We are going over a wide variety this time, from once thriving games to games so obscure that you have guaranteed never heard of them. Let's get started. OSGRID is like Second Life if Second Life had 30 players total. It's a game using Open Simulator as its base and functions as a metaverse, virtual world, chat and hang out with your friends while also engaging in various activities such as dancing type program. You know it's gonna be good when I got GTA 5 Trevor on staff. Also a wizard. The character creator in this one had a selection of 6 different starting avatars. There's a couple guys, a couple gals, this Noid looking guy, and we're just not going to talk about the last one. I was going to see if I could get away with naming myself something really basic, so I went with Terry. Then I saw that this game requires a 2-word name, so instead I went with Little Terry. Then I decided to get huge, and actually went with Large Larry. Before I had even loaded into this one, my chat box was already being filled with welcome messages from actual people. I take it that these gamers don't get new visitors very often, and we're very excited to have some fresh meat join their game. There were also like 7 pop-ups I had to click, people hitting mad dances, and some dude was messaging me like, "Hey bro, I have avatars you like, yes? Message me bro." It was pretty overwhelming, honestly. Enjoy all this activity while we're here. This is the last you're gonna see human interaction. Based on the name, I thought this would be a pirate ship map. That would have been cool, but instead we're in like New England or something. This one was taking forever to load, and I found out why when I went into a little bookshop, and every single book had a different cover. Every building in this map was loading tiny little custom models and assets that were probably super unoptimized. If you're wondering why some of these maps are only partially loaded, it's that. Back at the bookstore, Elizabeth BioShock Infinite was the shopkeep, and they even had a really gluey Comstock as well. A little further in, I found my old pal Robert. Now between one Bob fan to another, he's going through some pretty rough shit right now, so be nice to him. I was fiddling around with my menus, and I found the Local Players tab. At some point during this, someone joined this one while I was wandering around. Their name wasn't loading, and they were about 300 feet away from me. I was being stalked by an unknown nameless creature. Scary! Art Attack was a big gallery map with all kinds of statues and art pieces, such as the very famous and well-known Messy Boots, Snoopy, the Flames of Hell, the Stinker. Fertility. Yeah, I can't show like most of these. This one was a city map called Cosmopolitan 2. Don't ask what happened to the first one. I mean, I'm serious about that. Don't ask. I'm being serious. This one looked pretty nice for 2001 standards. It was very artsy, very golden. Good map.
Senate. I am the Senate. Yeah.
This one was a pretty strange map. It was a weird mix of 3D models, like ant cars and strange dancing aliens, as well as random AI art, including a full display out in the open, naughty AI art exhibit. I'm not showing that. Have more strange dancing creatures instead. This one was a post-apocalyptic hangout and chill map. There were clubs, bars, and even a merry-go-round. It also had models from Left 4 Dead and even a beer. I went into the club, and there were some spots left on stage. So Larry got on drums, and he played his heart out. This map was simple, but one of the more interesting maps I found in the game. Before we get to it though, I swapped outfits in this one to the biggest dweeb I could find. This right here is Large Larry's true form. As for what this one is, the name should have given it away. Honestly. It's a virtual university campus that isn't just for show, but from what I can tell, had at least one legit professor do a presentation in it. If I was ever tasked with downloading OSGRID for an online course in university, I would ask for a full refund. I looked into that guy's site, and they have a whole course or research group focusing on virtual worlds, which uses this campus and 2 other servers as their home bases. I take back my comment about the refund. That actually sounds kind of interesting. I do find it funny though, that at any point during one of these presentations, you are like 3 clicks away from hopping on a creepy AI Zorn art world. Hey everybody, welcome to the first class of Gamer School. Lesson 1 is the most important lesson you'll ever learn. You will never be as good as me. Let's go see cartoon. Let's see what they got for cartoons. They got Homer. I see Homer already. They got Homer. They got the gloves. Shaggy. The minion? That's a scary minion. That is... Mario! Barto. Bart Simpson. Lisa. The Smurfs. Why are they all hitting the flex? Jesus. So fun fact with this one that may have just been the result of me being a numbskull. You don't actually get any of these avatars. I tried to be Arthur Morgan, and it did not work. Arthur Redemption. I would like to be Arthur Redemption. What the f is this? What is this shit? A lot of virtual world games love trying to be educational, as if the chance for these to take off as education tools hasn't long since passed. This one had a bunch of really low quality images of like space science stuff, Wikipedia articles, I'm pretty sure AI art, and some other stuff like that. I don't know what you're supposed to take from this map. It's got all this like real science stuff, and then just below that is a bunch of Star Wars stuff. That's what the moon is? I never even know that. This one is called Wright Plaza, and from what I can tell, serves as a sort of new player welcome area. There's all kinds of shops, guides, entertainment, and free shit. Some of it's broken and straight up doesn't function, like the movie theater, so I don't know how long this one's been up. In one spot, I found a sign advertising an OSGRID Friday party in September 2015. Mark it down and be sure to be there. Like, OMG, I totally love shopping here, right? Right? Okay. I was feeling quite jovial, so I selected the map called Big Water Slide. For some reason, the map was marked as being for adults only. The map was okay, there was no water, so that makes half the title a lie. And then I got kicked from the entire game. Huh? You will be banned from OSGRID if you go on the Big Water Slide. There's nothing really of note in the map for this one, but I did find some magazine dispensers in a few spots. These put out in-game magazines about the state of the game and community. This one here had 3 issues from around 2018. I always love it when I find stuff like this in games. Usually these would just be a forum post or something, but here, it's all directly in-game. There's probably more of these too, as I found another collection from 2016 in a different area. They mostly talk about upcoming events, have pictures from different places and parties, and give game advice on building and stuff like that. Pretty neat. You can drive in this game? Get out of it. Get out of it! Help! This one had Googie's Scottish cousin. He played me a tune. I wrapped back to the original spawn area where things first started. Earlier there were about 12 people here, now it's down to just 4, all of which seem to be AFK. From the looks of it, based on their titles, these were some of the game's bigwig CEO type players, server owners, landlords, and shopkeepers. I guess in their downtime they just rest up and spawn. Stan Lee. What you're seeing here is a common tussle between the portly tree snake and the PlayStation 1 rattler. 2 glue lions watch on as the fight takes place, ready to pounce at the first opportunity. I took a look at their event plaza, where they hold their iconic Friday parties, which we heard about earlier. I guess these are still going, because when I checked, there was one scheduled for the next day. It listed all kinds of performers, and it was supposed to be a 13-hour-long show, if this was to be believed. Now, I pretty much had to see if this was just a repeating schedule that hasn't been updated in years, so I logged off and phantom cigared until Friday, 3 p.m. Alright, we're here. The event should be on. It is Friday. I'm excited. Big time. I should be right here. So those signs weren't kidding. When I got back into this one, it was all decorated for Halloween, and there were tons of people in it. This was probably a good chunk of the game's active player base. For some reason I couldn't actually hear the music though, so I kind of danced in silence as I looked through my settings to troubleshoot that. Sadly, I'm going to have to mute most of it anyways because it's all just real songs being sung over. That would get the video instantly blocked worldwide. The lady that was singing had a goddamn voice though. She was actually very talented. I just wish I didn't have to spend 90% of her set troubleshooting the audio. But with the tunes now jamming, I could finally feel the beat of the music, and Larry got down with the bop. Can't be doing that. There were like no breaks between the songs. And this Friday event, based on the signs, again, is 13 hours long. I can see why people show up to these. It's one hell of a party. With that said, I don't have 13 hours to sit around this one. I was gonna dip around this point, but as I was busting my final moves and grooves, a player in chat said that there would be a tribute to someone named Diane later that night. From what they were sending, it looked like this was a player, as well as a member of the band, that passed away. I wanted to see what this was, so I made a note to stop by when it was supposed to go down, and then I left for a bit. I returned midway through the next singer's set, and everything about Diane was pretty much confirmed.
Oh, thank you guys. And yes, I always feel very emotional when we lose somebody. And so for those of you, I just say God bless and give you strength and comfort. All right.
From what I pieced together, this person passed away only a few days beforehand, and this Friday event was made into a big send-off in Diane's honor. After the speech, the band went all out and played a live performance of Don't Fear the Reaper. Tragically, I can't play it because it would get the video nuked. You really just had to be there. It was something else. It's a pretty badass way to send off a friend. They played on for their whole time slot without a single break after that too. Any doubts I had about this being a 13-hour-long non-stop music fest were pretty much destroyed at this point.
Thank you guys for being here. Lady Joe, big hugs, and large Larry. Okay. And Bonnie and Putri, who did an awesome job.
After everything that happened, I was invested, and I stuck around for the next while. The second singer was hyping up Evan, the next performer, so I had to see that. Evan is coming up. He pulled up on stage as Arkham Origins Batman whipped out the Bat guitar and started going absolutely haywire on it. After the 7-minute Batman guitar solo wrapped up, he started getting real Halloween-y, beginning things off with the Monster Mash. It was a real graveyard smash. I danced it out to that, and then was on and off for the next few hours watching the performances. If you're ever bored on a Friday, give these a shot. A few hours later was the final send-off for Diane. She was formerly a singer in one of these virtual bands, and they played a recording of hers one last time. It was a cover of Hotel California, with the lyrics changed to Hotel OSGRID. I stuck around until the end of it, gave my condolences in chat, thanked them for putting on a good show, and then I took my leave. My stay at the Hotel OSGRID had come to an end. OSGRID was a surprisingly decent game. It had a small but very connected community, and each world in it had its own unique flavor. I had a lot of fun walking around and just checking things out. The worst part about this one is that it ends, as I had tried the bulk of the 80-ish maps, and sadly, a lot of them also just don't work. So this one has to come to a close. Let's keep it rolling. VR Chat is a sandbox chat room game that you don't even need VR to play. They should really just rename it to Chat. It's not dead as a game. In fact, its player count has slowly been increasing year over year. But, like a lot of other games we've looked at, there is a ton of old, empty, abandoned worlds that are still up and running. A lot of these were at one point thriving social spaces. Now they're left as virtual reminders of a time forgotten. I went into VR Chat knowing basically nothing about the game. I got into it, found the Random Worlds tab, and I got right to work.
Welcome to the Lasagna Lounge.
We're starting this one off strong, as we're hitting up the Lasagna Lounge. This is one of many bar-type maps in VR Chat. These are usually pretty boring, but I lucked out and found an actually interesting one right out of the gate. As you walk into the lounge, By the entrance, there's a big wall completely filled with pictures of previous lasagna loungers. It's weird to see it so full of life back then. The place is a complete ghost town now, and this was recorded at peak hours. Sure. A bit past the bar was a big setup showing the hierarchy of the lasagna lounge. Of course, you've got sentient lasagna up at the top with his goon squad all around him. There's also a button you can press here to get a sentient lasagna origin story. Obviously I pressed it and it was just non-stop, nonsensical rambling about the owner's backstory.
The far reaches of space, the year 4392 AA. The future seems lonely. Rules and restrictions have been placed in the second and outcasts of the sex of alternate planets sufficiently to create their own lives. Somewhere in the deep reaches of space.
It just keeps going. And I stopped paying attention after like 20 seconds. It was all malarkey, like, the lasagna from the moon up in space entered the bar and said, "My oh my, this place has grace." I continued my little tour of the area and had a look at their upper floor art gallery. I'm guessing these are from artists that frequent the lounge. If not, that would be kind of weird. After checking out the art gallery and walking around for a few minutes, I came back down and the lore dumping was still going on. I don't think it was even halfway done. We're doing an iconic The Backrooms map. I've got a lot to say about this one. Is this trend dead yet? This one was a racing map called Infinity Chickawa. I didn't even know this game was more than just walking around. It had me in a little Chickawa rocket car, and it was absolutely uncontrollable. Holy shit. What is happening? What's even happening anymore? I'm not even pressing buttons. I'm not doing anything. So I want to make it extra clear that I am not a VR chat regular. I played around 3 hours of this game 5 years ago and haven't really touched it since. One thing I noticed during this is that there's a pretty big amount of player homes that are just completely open to the public. I pretty much skipped all of these from this point, but I wanted to at least break and enter into one house for this. The home that was chosen was a little oceanfront property with pictures inside of some anime characters. Now from what I saw, that sums up probably 30% of the maps in this entire game. That's terrifying. I wanted to get an early bit of actual human interaction in this game. You know, do a bit of VR chatting. So I hopped in one called Beachside Bakery. There were about 7 people in it, so I figured I could have a couple of VR chats. A very quick, "What's going on, guys?" followed by a discussion of what's happening in some weird random world. In a very unfortunate twist though, I was instantaneously reminded that the vast majority of this game's player base is screaming children playing on their new MetaQuest 3 they just got for their 12th birthday. One of the kids trapped me in a cage and made me a POW. I was developing an instant migraine, and I quickly started searching for a new map.
There you are. Come here. I can't pick you up. No, my.
I was so desperate to get out of this one, I joined a server called The Torture Chamber. It couldn't possibly get worse than this. Anything but that. Anything but that. This one was described as a short horror adventure map. I wasn't really expecting anything like that, so I bit. It had my curiosity. The map ended up being a dining room, lined with pictures of anime girls, that was playing audio of some dude making monkey noises. It's about what I expected from VR chat, to be honest. We're checking out the frozen city of Ballsburg. It's actually pretty cool. Very desolate and atmospheric. It's also massive, which seems like more of a negative in a game like this. Even if there were 5 other people in this, I doubt I would have found them. This would make a cool map in a stalker mod or something. There wasn't a lot here except for the remains of the city, and even if there were secrets, I doubt I could find them. This thing's huge. We're headed back to 2014, right into Shrek's meme swamp. Great. This one was like a garbage dump of old forgotten shitty memes. Just an absolute mess. I was kind of overwhelmed by it and completely zoned out as I wandered around the map. I just mindlessly walked through it. This is what true hell looks like. I didn't have a clue what this was, so I had to try it. The map ended up being a Build a Tony Hawk workshop. I don't know how to edit stuff in VR chat, so I was stuck as just a head. The server for this one, doesn't matter. I'm mainly using this just to say that it's weird that arguably the biggest thing to ever come out of VR chat is the Knuckles meme. Are people still doing this? I hope not. If you've ever wanted to experience the serene beauty and stunning graphical prowess of Knights of the Old Republic 2003 in VR, have I got news for you, pal. Someone has fully ported all of the maps from the game to VR. I had a look at the Dune Sea and boarded the Ebon Hawk, which even actually had a working map system. That part was actually pretty cool. That was neat. You could like leave the ship and it would be where you selected. Sadly, they don't have KOTOR 2 stuff, so actually this sucks. This one was called Precious Memories, and I didn't know what to expect, but what I found, it did not surprise me. It was a series of hallways lined with pictures taken in-game of various anime avatars. Now, I don't know why this one, in particular, gave me such a weird feeling, but it did. I don't have the specific word or phrase for it. There probably is one. It was sort of the realization that I'm in an age where I can walk around a digital house looking at digital images of digital anime avatars being referred to as precious memories. Julius Caesar conquered half the world like 2,000 years ago. Leonardo da Vinci painted the Mona Lisa. Blackbeard, he got all that treasure. And I'm here. I'm here looking at this shit. I genuinely can't put into words how, like, strange this makes me feel. It's not even that weird or unique or even strange of a map. It's just giving me a very strong feeling. This isn't even a bit, and I don't expect anyone to relate, but it's such a weird gut feeling that I don't know how to properly put into words. Alright. At first, I didn't have words for it, but after careful consideration, some pondering and dwelling on it in my chambers, I came to realize that what I was trying to say here was that I was having an existential crisis in a VR chat anime house. I joined a bunch of Chuck E. Cheese maps, and we're looking at all of them. Let's chuck it up. This first one was some sort of prototype map to show off a fully built model and choreographed performance by the Cheesester. Everything in it looked like a test map except for the one-to-one Chuck performance in the middle. After this one, I wasn't going to stop until I played every single Charles Entertainment Cheese map in the game. Now, for some reason, there's a lot of Chuck E. Cheese maps. Somebody is a big fan of Chuck E. Cheese. This second one was similar to the first, but a bit more detailed. We had not just Chuck, but his whole band of merry men. This one had 2 songs you could pick from, which I overlapped by accident. It became hellish, extremely quick. Stop. Stop. Next. This is the saddest Chuck E. Cheese of all time. Jesus. We are 4 Chuck maps in, and we finally have the first actual restaurant. Let's go. Chuck it up. We have yet to get a true Chuck experience, though, because him and his crew are nowhere to be found in this one. It's just a pizza place with games, stages, and a few oddly long halls that lead to a sort of security room in the back. What is this?
I see you.
Chuck E. Cheese.
This one kind of looked like shit, but it was the first and only one with the restaurant, games to play, and the band. Truly an achievement. I played a couple games, ate some pizza, and pulled up to the show.
Well, if all those
In 87, no more Chuck E. Cheese ever. I joined into a holiday sleigh ride map where I think you're supposed to sit with someone and enjoy the holiday vibes and music. It lets you toss the presents though, and I may have gotten carried away trying to throw and dunk them into the chimneys. There was genuine rage and sadness during this map. I felt more emotion here than ever before in my whole life.
Right down the chimney! Is that fucking bike you asked for, you little prick? Is that fine china? Hold on. From the top rope! Where's Rudolph? Come Rudolph, come Dancer Prancer,
pyromancer. Go fuck yourself. That's going right in. Come Nancy, come Yancey. Tom Clancy. Rainbow Six! I'm not leaving this one until I get one in. Oh my god. Fuck! This is it. First off, try one of those. Fuck! Alright, it's got... The weather outside is frightful. From the top rope. Motherfucker. Oh my god! No! No! I got the power of Dino in me. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. That's right in! That's right in! That counts. After the last one I saw, I wasn't really expecting to find an actual horror map, so this was a nice surprise. The name is in Japanese, so I have no idea what it means, but I don't think I really need to know. The map is incredibly simple, being a walking sim, where you go down a super long hallway and occasionally get jump scared. It would definitely be scarier in VR, but since I was on desktop, I was moving so fast I ended up ahead of most of the jump scares. Also, the main monster thing looks like a thumb with a face. Makes it a little hard to get spooked. It was really long though, I'll give it that, especially for a VR chat map. I was on this for like 10 minutes, and I think I only got halfway. This one was a spaceship map I went into with the expectation that it would just be like a rocket you could walk around or like look at. I was dead wrong. This map had a shitload of different rockets, fully modeled into scale, all of which you could launch into space from a viewing platform. Obviously, the first thing I did was launch every single rocket at the same time, possibly causing an international incident. There was a bunch of other science stuff too. Flight path trackers, orbits, models of satellites, and a bunch more. I didn't even see all of it because I went to check out the helicopters and jets beside the spawn. Oh shit, this is VR chat? Oh my god. Holy shit. VR chat. Jesus Christ. Let me some VR chat. It has fuel. It has fuel. It has fuel. What happened? What was that? It's not stalling. I can pull this back. I can pull this back. We're not dead yet. Watch this shit. Just gotta drip for a little bit. What did I say? I'm a professional. Look at that. A perfect landing. Full speed. We're here at the top of Mount Akina. It's midnight, the cars look like shit, and we're 5 miles from the bottom. I had to ride this out solo, in honor of Blockland, 1892. I got instantly baited into joining this one because it had this cube thing getting clocked in the jaw on the thumbnail. Sadly, when I joined it, there was no immediate violence. This one was pretty much all in Japanese, so I don't have a clue what this map actually is. The only English thing is the title, being Tutorial World, so this is a tutorial for something. I guess. I walked down a couple halls, entered a few doors, business as usual, and then I entered a room full of anime avatars and quad-barrel rocket launchers. It was obvious what had to be done.
Oh, anime! Oh!
This one was kinda neat. It was a recreation of the esteemed mansion from hit 2004 RPG Maker indie horror game, Ao. The manor is famous for its brown color scheme and for having the original horror game purple guy. Sadly, this one is unfinished, so it's literally just the upper floors of the house. No purple demon, no silly basement scene, nothing. Ao sucks, by the way. This one had a full lineup of one-to-one recreations of the world's tallest buildings, if you couldn't get that from the title. They've got the Burj Khalifa, the Willis Tower, the World Finance Center, and all the rest. They've even got the place they built after that one tragedy. I was searching through the random tab and came across another Chuck E. Cheese map. This one was a bit more ominous, just being called Chuck Cheese with no thumbnail. Somehow this one had eluded me. Sucky Cheeses. What is this? This one had a couple games in the lobby, a piss pool, and some badass drawings of the Chuckster. I found the birthday extravaganza bonanza room, and the performance in this one was scarier than any game loosely based on the Chuck E. Cheese Corporation's trademark animatronics. This one talked a big game, so I had to see if it could walk the walk. Luckily, it was another actually cool map and not just a meme or something. It was a sort of the Stanley Parable type map with a narrator guiding you along and you being able to follow his directions or break off his path.
Wait a second, hold on, don't move from that spot that you're currently standing in, just hold still a second, alright? Let me explain. It looks like you were trying to join a world, and you missed. I don't know how to explain the concept, but you missed. You're not in the world that you were trying to go to. This is, you slipped between the cracks.
There's like 8 endings too, so it's pretty in-depth. At least for what I expected from a VR chat map.
Get over it.
I don't know if my brain was melting or something, but I could not do this jump puzzle. It doesn't change, it doesn't randomize. I just could not do it. I seriously don't know what I was doing during this. I played a couple other maps after this one, but I realized it was pointless. I had already played the greatest world ever made. What kind of maniac sicko still plays Condition Zero? I get 1.6 players, I get source players, but actually what the hell are you doing if Condition Zero is your go-to game? Condition Zero is the true black sheep of the Counter-Strike franchise. I don't think you'll find a single person willing to argue that it's the best in the series. From the outside looking in, this just seems like a minor graphical improvement to CS 1.6, with a handful of changes. Guess what came out just half a year later? A major graphical improvement to CS 1.6, with a ton of changes. Now all of that isn't to say Condition Zero is a bad game. At the end of the day, it's still Counter-Strike. Let's check it out. I wanted to start things off with something interesting, rather than the usual,
Here's Dust 2. This game has guns. Did you know that?
So instead I hopped into a death run server. And if I'm not mistaken, this is somehow the first one we've ever looked at. If you've never played Death Run, it's basically just one team trying to get from point A to point B, while the other team activates traps trying to stop them. The map here was all ice themed, pretty cool, and it seemed like a pretty fun map to run. Just one minor issue. I was flung at 7,000 miles per hour across the map whenever I spawned in, killing me instantly. I wanted to take a quick look at one of the maps they overhauled for this game, so I hopped into a match of Office. Graphically, it does look a lot better than Counter-Strike 1.6 Office, but you've got to remember that this game came out months before this. So really, not that big of an upgrade in comparison. One weird part about this version of Office is that it's built on like a mountain surrounded by other mountains in the middle of nowhere. It's like someone teleported a 90s office building to the middle of the Alaskan wilderness. I was just sort of wandering the empty halls.
Over here!
And these guys scared the shit out of me. I thought someone joined the server for a second and was like fucking with me. But I guess in Condition 0, the hostages just wander around on their own. Anyway, I'm clocking out for the day. Next map. Condition 0 has a lot of deathmatch servers. SpongeBob. 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 I like SpongeBob. I want to eat the Krabby Patty. Oh my god. Jesus. Pretty much any map with players left in it is some kind of deathmatch map. This one here had a few real human beings playing on their gaming systems. This is the average Condition 0 experience. I also played on a pool day map, which is basically the same thing but with a pool, not SpongeBob. Again, this one also had a couple people in it, so if you want to play with other actual people and not bots, this is what you can expect in Condition 0. This one is a paintball server, and playing on this kind of made me miss when weird community game modes were still a big thing. These only become rarer with time, and it's nice to see something like this still running. I don't really know what it was that made me feel this, but something about this mode feels exactly like a weird 3D browser game you'd see on like Miniclip. That's just a real gun. That's a real gun. I found a pretty epic swag video, some gameplay from this in its prime, made in 2009. Check this out. Cool game mode. Next. I wasn't going to not join the server called Awesome House of Awesomeness, so here we are. This one was a knife-only deathmatch arena that I was going to pretty much instantly bail on because it was just like 3 platforms. And a bit of a strange twist though, as I was looking through the server browser, some random guy joined the server, almost like they were waiting for someone to duel. Just to check that this wasn't a bot, I went to mute him, and I could. Say hello to my newest arch rival, Bay 91. Things were extremely tense as I waited for the round to start. Beads of sweat were rushing down my face and elsewhere, and as it started, we engaged in an epic knife battle.
First humiliation.
Got him. I had taken his life, gaining honor and glory, but I was up for as many rounds as he threw at me. In round 2, I quickly went for a jumping maneuver, hopping onto a floating platform and then going straight for him. Okay. That's weird. So I don't know if I just starred in some gaming creepypasta or something about a haunted server, but it kind of felt like it. I'm not going to play this up and act like it was, oh, spooky, scary. But it was kind of weird that this guy joined within like 30 seconds, fought me once, and left. Either way, I had slayed Bay 91 and sent his ass packing, ending our rivalry. This one had me 1v6 in a cowboy map armed with just a knife and whatever I could find on the ground. It also had a bit of a jock jam and spawn. I lost a lot, like a lot of rounds. He's gone. What a load of shit. But I wasn't gonna give up until I won at least one. As I kept playing and dying over and over, my strategies continuously improved, and eventually, I was able to bring it down to a 1v1, armed with a Valorant AK-47. All I had to do was kill this last bot, who had no idea where I was. I silently crept around the map, heard him, snuck up behind him, and proceeded to absolutely omega whiff an entire spray on him. I wasn't going to end things on that absolute blunder, so I kept going. And one round later, I pulled off this.
Let's go! Let's go!
This is one I thought was a custom map, but it turns out it's actually a Condition Zero Originale. It's also in Counter-Strike for the Xbox. I've never heard of this one, but it's actually kind of cool. Being set in the halls and back areas of a stadium. There's locker rooms, food courts, all that stuff. You can even get a view of the arena from the map in all of its 2004 glory. Also, both bomb sites are hot dog stands. No Counter-Strike video is complete without a surf gameplay commentary. So here we are. This map was like weirdly small though. It took maybe 30 seconds to complete, unless I was missing something. Anyways, check out my sick-ass surf skills. Courthouse 2 is an AS map, which is part of the completely abandoned and widely forgotten VIP game mode. Since you very likely don't know what that is, it was a game mode where one player was chosen to be the VIP, and they were given 200 health, a pistol, and have to reach the other end of the map without dying. Since it was just me, I was the very important person, and I had a casual stroll across the map to the end. This one was a city map with different buildings to sneak through, but overall, pretty forgettable. I'm not gonna lie. The one part that was kind of ominous about this one was that the server just had a guy that was just present. I don't know if he was actually there, but there was just one dude who was just silently watching me in spectator mode. The observer of Condition Zero. Freaky. Okay, death run. Maybe it'll f***ing work this time. We've got another gold source crack server. This one is running a map called Go Go Go. The map itself sucks, but the server itself is insanity. From what I've seen on this game, there's two types of servers. They're either running basically vanilla CS or are modded to absolute shit. It should be pretty clear what type this one is. I feel like now's a pretty good time to bring up that Condition Zero servers have a ton of weird plugins, like lightsabers, Valorant guns, weird player models, and other stuff like that. At some points during this, it felt like I was playing Gmod. This one had probably my favorite plugin, where every time someone died, it played an iconic skullsmoke.gif above their heads. I also went on a bit of a GamerGod kill streak, and it played this.
Holy shit!
Blah is a certified crack map. This map was insanity. What is happening on this map? What is going on? We start this one off with a choice between two doors. Both lead you down extremely different paths that are about equal on the crack scale. This one is a bizarre mix of freak shit rooms, parkour rooms, and regular-ish areas to explore. It has nothing to do with Counter-Strike as a concept. I don't even know if this is from Counter-Strike or if it's like a Half-Life mod or something. It's hard to even discuss it because it's honestly best described as completely nonsensical. Every 10 seconds is a new insane thing. There's Mario 64 paintings, tanks, a weird baby face door, a proto-Nextbot kind of thing, and you're just getting pelted with these back to back to back. It's just non-stop yunting weird shit at you, all while you're getting yunted into different areas. After somehow making progress through it, I wound up at the bomb site, which was a giant brain. This map is mind-blowing. I gotta say, by this point though, I was getting a bit of a mind-blowing headache, so I quit. I was done with Cruelty Squad Condition Zero. In this one I spawned with a sniper rifle in a giant empty field. I don't even know if you can call this a map. All I really had to do in this one was kill a bunch of goons that were rushing me down, so I'm just going to assume that this is some kind of a kill the sniper game mode. The only real thing of note is that you spawn by a grave which reads Arcanor. I did some digging and found this dude's game banana, which led me to his Steam, and he was actively playing Deadlock, so he's not like dead. On the map's mod page, he even calls the tombstone silly in retrospect. I assume he's been asked about it a lot. There's nothing else to this one though. It really was just a big empty field. Next.
Here's Dust 2.
I had to close this one out by looking at the only populated server that was running a regular match. Just a casual little 15v15 game of Dust 2, running 24/7, 365. This match will go on forever, an eternal battle.
1v1. Will we clutch this out? Yo, we got a wall bang! Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness gracious. I got a guy? What? Oh.
They could make it actually illegal with a 25-year sentence to play Condition Zero, and this Dust 2 server would still have players. I never really played a lot of multiplayer Gold Source games because I'm a dipshit zoomer, but these blocky graphics and near incomprehensible microphones still bring me back. It's really a miracle that these servers are still running and have players. How many 20-year-old games can say that nowadays? From what I played here, my opinions on Condition Zero have definitely shifted a bit. I used to think it was just shittier 1.6, but it's got some unique stuff going for it. Just not enough to really justify its existence, though. If this was released like 2 years earlier, I think people would have come around to it. With that said, next game.
We got ourselves a furry game.
Alright, maybe not furry, but like furry adjacent, at least. FERALHEART is an animal roleplay hangout game, and it's actually a successor to another game called, get this, Impressive Title. Both FERALHEART and Impressive Title are heavily inspired by and based on Disney's The Lion King. Now because of that, I assume that this one was from like 2003 or something, you know, at least kind of close to that coming out, but it's from 2011. There was actually a remake or something that I saw, which was recommended as the better way to play FERALHEART, called FERALHEART Unleashed. But when I tried to play that, I couldn't find a grass texture in my files and wouldn't open, so we're sticking with the original. Getting into things, I was frankly feeling fairly feral, so I was pretty hyped to play this one. It has a really weird system in place for how to play it though. First you gotta make an account on the site. I went with the username Christopher1972. Then you cannot log into the program itself. You'll just get an error. What you've gotta do is go back onto the website, log in on that, click a play button that opens up a separate page saying that now you can log in, which you have to keep open the whole time you play, and from there, you can finally log in to the actual launcher.
This isn't even gonna be worth it. This game's gonna suck.
I'm in. Now that we're actually in, we can get feral. Also as a note for any top tough gamers that want to play this one, if you've got a $4,000 8K resolution monitor, you can put it to good use as this game does support 8K. I couldn't just jump right into things though, as first I had to make an OC.
It's a goddamn nice kitty. Muzzle, big. Cheeks, big. Nose, big. No, sleek. Forehead, big. No, sleek. Ears, big. Eyes, big. No, tiny. Wait, tiny. No, huge. No, tiny. Emote. Subtle frown. His iconic smirk. His iconic cunning wit. What else? Tail? Oh, brother. Okay. Tailless? This is a fucking freak. Sickle? This is awful. Yeah, he's kind of badass. He's kind of freaking badass. With his fire eyes. And his fucking puke cheetah spots. Skeleton. Skeleton badass. Skeleton badass. Look how much of a player this guy is. This is one badass puppy. How do I quit this fucking game? Say hello to Gary. Just a young dog trying to make his way in the world. Just trying to get by, survive. Possibly even thrive. That's how it is, that's how it is.
Okay. Now, if you couldn't tell why I thought this game was from like 2003, I don't know what to tell you. This should speak for itself. This came out the same year as Uncharted 3.
Okay, it's so fast.
I had to look around the starting area called Lonely Cave, and in that, I found a large rotating mystical globe that sent me to the Cape of Distant Worlds. It was a big bunch of nothing ending in a giant slope up to nowhere. And then I fell off of it into the ocean. Kind of a massive letdown for such an otherworldly, whimsical, dream-like location. I was going to move on to the next area, but my keen eye noticed a suspicious path of rocks in the water. Not a chance that that wasn't a secret area, and I was absolutely 100% correct in my assumption. It's just too bad that the secret area was just some forest, and that's actually it. No lions, cheetahs, elephants, monkeys, gorillas, nothing. I've been in this game for maybe 5 minutes, and it already feels like I'm the last animal on Earth. There's not even like birds or fish or anything. Just the trees, the wind, and the stock music soundtrack. When I entered the first real area, there were actually 2 people in it. With that said, I doubt that they were actually present, as both were seemingly AFK. I don't remember where it was, but when I was looking into this game, I read that there's a few players in areas like this that literally haven't moved or been online in years. They just sit there, day after day, collecting digital dust. Somewhere out there in the world, there's an old crusty laptop that somehow hasn't been shut off in years. It's probably running something like Windows 7, and it has remained on solely for us, right at this very moment, to see their FERALHEART OC. I don't know for certain if these 2 are some of those players, but I wouldn't bet against that being the case. Aside from the players, this map wasn't much different to the secret one in terms of stuff there was to actually see. It looks eerily similar to a PS2 Cabela's hunting game. I was getting curious and wanted to know how the map actually worked and connected. I had found 2 areas I could walk to and one that was a teleport, so I looked it up, and this map has a less linear and more interconnected level design system than Dark Souls 3. Sorry to anyone that wanted me to see everything blind, and I offer my sincerest apologies to all 7 FERALHEART fanatics out there for spoiling the future locations for myself. Sadly, one of the map paths just didn't function and sent me into an endless loading screen. Awesome. There was actually like nothing I could do here. Even reconnecting just sent me back into the loop. I hate to tell you, but Gary is dead. After this, I made a new character that I put the absolute bare minimum effort into. This is Cat. Okay, let's continue. The next area was a giant cave, and I mean that. It's way too big. Everything looks the same in it, and I'm honestly surprised I even made it to the next area. I'll spare you the extensive look I had at this cave. It really was not interesting. After I got out, you're not going to believe this. We had another empty forest. This one had rain. Wow, epic. The rain did add some much needed atmosphere though, I won't lie. Had me feeling real feral. I managed to stumble into the last map that was still working, and after a good bit of searching, I came across the only other player currently in the game. Way up in the snowy mountains, beyond the sprawling valleys, the endless caves, and everything in between, was this game's final animal to be found, sitting next to an everlasting fire. Similar to the others, this seemed to be a dormant player who, like them, has probably been up here for years, alone. They were resting by the campfire, so I decided to sit down and join them. If you're gonna be here forever, I might as well join you. I might as well join you. Day of Defeat, or DOD. This was one of the big hitter Half-Life mods, which then got turned into its own game in 2003. Whereas Counter-Strike turned Half-Life into a 5v5 tactical shooter, this turned it into a World War II game. I have never touched DOD, I do not know anyone that has ever played it, and I have zero experience with it whatsoever. I'm going into this basically blind. Of course, the first thing I did in the World War II game was join an Old West map. Before I got in though, it was very clear with the rules. Foul language will result in a kick. A lot of the maps in DOT have bots at the least, so this won't just be me wandering around empty servers the whole time. This one was just a little custom map that had that Western zing. It also renamed all the bots, like with the well-known Axis General Mark Wahlberg. I fought the bots for a bit, but they were just doming me left and right, so I continued on. I didn't really expect an orange map in DOT of Defeat, but it's a Valve game, so I probably should have. The message of the day screen says that this community has been around since '96, but with Half-Life coming out in '98, I don't have a clue what this means. I guess this could have been a Quake community or something. I really don't know. I looked into it and their website is down, so we're gonna need an OG classic killer to tell us. This must be an orange map for 1v1s or something because it was microscopic. This was like an inverse rats map. I won this one within like 20 seconds. Speaking of rats maps, these are basically irregular in the series at this point. This one was like a classic 1940s garage instead of the usual 90s teenager bedroom. Sadly, it was a little less detailed and filled with secrets than most rats maps, so there's really not too much to show off. I just thought it was neat that even the rats maps are World War II themed in this game. What the fuck? This is the first of the normal DOD maps we're checking out. I don't know if it's official, and I kind of doubt it because it's pretty low quality, but it's still pretty cool. With how empty it was, combined with the soundscape and atmosphere, this one was actually pretty interesting to walk around. I felt like a ghost wandering the battlefield. Right as I was nearing the end of my search on this one, it very politely kicked me for having too much ping. Awesome. This server here, powered by cutting-edge server technologies for optimal performance, has a rule of no violence in the shooty gun game. What does this rule mean? I'm seriously asking, what does that mean? This server crashed my game, and I did not come back to it. I only really have this one in here because it has a funny name. Old Dudes and Dudettes. The actual server was just a deathmatch on a 1940s themed CS assault, with a bunch of bots endlessly fighting. All the bots on this one have names that don't really look like typical Valve bot names, so my best guess is that they're custom nicknames the server gave them. These could be the names of some of the original Old Dudes and Dudettes. Alternatively here, I'm wrong, and these are just regular DOD bot names. That's honestly probably the case. Since we're here, I figured we might as well check out Day of Defeat's source as well. It's like Counter-Strike Source, where it's the same basic game with a new coat of paint. This is also probably one of the most forgotten Valve games out there. For this one, I am completely in the dark. I have never once seen DOD source gameplay in my life. Let's check this out. For my first ever game of Day of Defeat source, I joined a Super Mario map. It took like 2 full minutes to download, and this is what it was. Incredible. We've got another orange map here, and this one is the polar opposite of the last one. This one was like a giga orange. I have nothing else to say about orange maps anymore. I'm done with them. Next map. For some reason, both DODs have like a lot of Counter-Strike remakes, but to be fair, every game has a Dust 2 remake. Hey, Rush B! This remake actually looks pretty good though. I thought it would be like low effort, just a port of CS Source, but it's actually a full remake and everything here fits perfectly. Cool. Next. We've got the world famous Crack House map from Counter-Strike here. Very famous level. I'm not kidding when I say a shitload of DOD feet servers are just running CS ports, and it makes me wonder how these would actually play since these two are very different games. If it's not a Counter-Strike port, about 90% of the servers in this one are just regular DOD maps. It's kind of hard to find like anything interesting in this game. It's not like other Source games where there's like 200 crack servers. The most you'll get in DOD Source is Crack House. Welcome to the Devil Dogs! My last stop was a solo trip to Omaha Beach. It was a strange experience. Planes continuously flying overhead, silhouettes of warships on the horizon backed by a cloudy sunrise, and a completely empty battlefield, engulfed by the soundscape of war. I went along the beach, clearing the empty bunkers and capturing the flags, single-handedly winning D-Day. I also got a sick air shot on a plane. Check this out. Did I actually hit that thing? While I was playing this one, I saw a sign that said, GTO, always in our hearts. I assumed this was just some World War II thing, like a tribute to fallen soldiers or something, so I kind of ignored it. But afterwards, curiosity kind of got the better of me, and I did some looking around. I found the Devil Dogs forum, and one of their pinned posts is a tribute, saying that he was one of the regulars and an admin of the server, who sadly passed away in 2017. Reading through the page, it's clear that this dude was genuinely, loved in this community. Everyone had a story about him. So much so that they were thinking about shutting down the server because of his passing. The owner decided not to, saying that it isn't what GTO would have wanted. The owner then told a story about how his home flooded and he lost everything, and GTO sent him $500 simply because he needed it, and then called him every single day to check up. The There's other stories of him on this page as well, all with purely positive things to say. If any devil dogs end up seeing this, I hope you guys are doing alright. On their forum, I also saw that they hold a GTO tribute contest pretty consistently. The last one finished up December 9th, 2024. So these guys are actually still active. I must have just caught the server at a bad hour. I find it pretty incredible that both DODs still have so many servers running. It's not a ton, but it's still a respectable amount. While the player counts are small, they're also very consistent. And these games look like they have pretty cool communities. And hey, who knows? Maybe one day in the future, Valve will make Day of Defeat 2. I doubt it, but it's Valve. They kinda just do whatever they want. But with DOD done, we're gonna continue on. Here's a pretty interesting and very obscure bonus game I found that I thought would fit the series perfectly. The reason why it's a bonus and not a proper section is that this game doesn't actually exist. The game is called ATRIARCH, and it's a genuine internet anomaly that pretty much nobody has talked about within the last 15 years. So this is a pretty prime scoop you're getting here. ATRIARCH was an MMO in development from around 1998 until sometime in the early 2010s. It's not technically cancelled, but the devs have been radio silent since 2012. A strange fantasy world that never saw the light of day. Now I say this is an internet anomaly because despite being from 1998 and never releasing, this game's website is still up and fully functional. It's some Space Jam website type shit. And this page isn't just like, here's our game, it's coming out, okay bye! No, it's got a ton of screenshots, news articles, interviews, and even a downloads page where you can get some of the songs and other stuff from the game. I wouldn't call these jock jams, but there's a few I like in here. You can even download an official ATRIARCH wallpaper set, and it just oozes 90s CG stank. Due to its age, almost all of the linked pages to various gaming news sites and similar pages are entirely dead links. Some of the sites that are linked have even been liquidated since this. An unreleased game from 1998 has outlasted some of these sites. I think the only way to possibly see the majority of these articles would be to physically track down copies of these magazines talking about ATRIARCH. If anyone does that, I'd love to see them. There's also a chance that some of these are on the Wayback Machine, but I'm not going to go checking every single one of these links. Aside from articles, there's also a handful of ancient, like really old videos on IGN's YouTube that are trailers for the game. They've all got weird generic file name titles on the YouTube pages too, like this one here called ATRIARCH PC Games Gameplay _2000_01_20. Even weirder is that the video itself is just the game's logo, website link, and some real strange sounding audio in the background. If I didn't know any better and just stumbled across this, I would assume that this is some weird ARG or something. Somebody check the spectrogram of this audio for clues. Now luckily for us, ATRIARCH PC Games Gameplay _2000_01_20_2 actually has footage, so I can show a bit of that here. It's obviously not gameplay, and it's just some weird CG FMV probably made in like 1999. If I were a betting man, I'd say that this is some kind of opening video for the game or something. Just a little introductory world building. It's super weird though, and feels like I'm watching a TV show made by aliens. The website itself has pretty much everything else you could possibly ask for regarding the game. There's more info on here than I could ever go over in a reasonable amount of time. They've got lore on the many different species, factions, histories, languages, wildlife, geography, moons, and a shitload more. Also some info on the gameplay, like how this would be a persistent 1 million square kilometer world. Seems a tad bit ambitious for 1998. That's bigger than Texas, by the way. Now, if you were under the impression that this was just a case of a studio going bankrupt mid-development, it isn't. The devs behind this are a currently active software development company. They've even worked on IMVU. Iconic. What I assume happened here is a simple case of overambition, feature creep, and eventual cost cutting. If your MMO that's been in development for 14 years still hasn't been released in any form, it might be time to move on. As for why the website is still up, I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe they want to keep the URL in case they ever come back to it. This is a complete grain of salt moment here, and I mean that. But while I was looking for any info regarding this game, I came across a post on r/Kenshi with 4 upvotes talking about how the two games are similar. Someone named Dara Lassa left a comment like 4 months after the thread was created, saying that they owned ATRIARCH, planned to revive it in the future, and that it was on hold due to a publisher going out of business. I have no way to confirm this, but it would be such an absurd thing to lie about that I believe it. Sure. This post was in 2023, by the way, so who knows. Maybe we'll see something on the 30-year anniversary. If ATRIARCH ever comes out, I will do a 24-hour stream of it, and you can quote me on that. HOLDFAST is Mount and Blade with guns. That's it. No, but really, HOLDFAST is a Napoleonic war game from 2017 with a variety of game modes, from 1800s naval combat to a full-fledged World War I mode. And unless you're European, this one is basically dead. At peak hours, American servers have maybe 20 people on. And for Europeans, it's really not much better, with only like 2 servers being actually active. This is kind of a big problem, as this is one of those games that's meant to have dozens and dozens of players on a server at a time for a complete experience. With that said, let's check out what is here.
Oh my god, he's dead.
Back in 2019, me and my buddy played this game for like 3 hours, and naval combat was by far my favorite mode. You see, the difference was back then, there were people here.
Oh my god!
Nowadays, it's just 6 ghost ships floating in the ocean, forever stuck in place until some random gaffoon joins the server to ram the ships into one another. Since it was just me in this, I kind of felt like a weird recluse billionaire who bought a bunch of authentic pirate ships as toys for his amusement, smashing them into each other and blowing them up all by himself. Also, I forgot to mention that this game has a class system, including some comedy musical ones. I was my own soundtrack for this whole little escapade. HOLDFAST has more than just this, but there are so many of these pirate ship combat games where you've got to like manually load each cannon, repair the hull and stuff like that. But does anyone actually like prefer these over a regular pirate adventure game? That's a real question. There's like a gajillion and a half pure naval combat games, and what I'm really getting at here is, where the hell are all the good pirate games? I want to dig up treasure. I want to clash swords with some scoundrels. I want to explore the jungle. I want to swab the poop deck. And there's like maybe 4 games ever that have all that stuff. Make more pirate adventure games now. Before we get into complete emptiness, let's start with one of the populated servers. And by that, I mean literally one of like 3 servers that has players. I'll be real here and say that HOLDFAST is one of the most unintentionally funny games ever created. On the surface, it's just Mount and Blade set in the Napoleonic Wars, but because of a few small things, like the musician classes, proximity voice chat, and the community, it all comes together to be a comedy masterclass. Everyone is constantly engaging in a light roleplay, putting on their hammiest fake accents.
Down with the peasants' home. Good shot, Gator.
This enemy just ran past me and I just shot him.
Yes, he didn't stand a chance against a musket flying 500 miles per hour.
I'm pretty sure some of the stuff said in this game has even become little memes over the years. And I think that this game is genuinely more well known for the memes and videos than the game itself. Just as a brief anecdote, when I played this game like 5 years ago, there was a general sitting atop a rock telling about 15 men a detailed story of how he crushed his grapes while sitting down. He had them all completely entranced in his masterful storytelling, and then went on to somehow pivot from the ball crushing to calling the enemy general boring and lame, which riled the troops, and then he sent us out to war. And we absolutely stomped them after the speech. That's the power of charisma right there.
Come here, you swine.
This is one of the World War I maps. These came out a few years into the game's lifespan and are a pretty wildly different experience to the normal game. Honestly, they could have, and maybe should have, released this as its own thing. There's no funny music classes here, and no comedy at all really, just the horrors of war. This mode releasing coincides with the game's all-time high on Steam, but nowadays at peak hours, this mode has like maybe 20 people on it max, and that's Europe and America. When I got on, as you can probably see, this shit was a barren wasteland. I wandered the empty battlefield, crossing no man's land into enemy territory. The war was over. None were left except for me. I won. I then died from barbed wire. HOLDFAST is a bit of a hard game to look at because genuinely, like 80% of the servers are password protected, so I can't get into like any of these custom ones. I ended up joining a zombie siege map, and upon entry, the British instantly win.
The British are victorious.
Let's go! The British win again. I know we've looked at like 3, but I was pretty much out of servers to play at this point. I had a choice between melee arenas and melee arenas. There would have been more options if these were unlocked, but again, it's like 80% password protected. I joined one of the few remaining servers left to play, and it ended up being a memorial server for a player called Jon Snow. I looked into this, and from what I saw, he was a well-known player in the community, so much so that the devs themselves added this to the game, even making an announcement post for it on Steam. I don't really have too much to say regarding this. I wasn't really expecting anything like this in HOLDFAST of all games. It's a really nice gesture by the devs, and I hope those who knew him are doing alright. I looked into it a bit further just to make sure this wasn't some kind of weird, like, awful joke or something, and no. This is very much real. It seems the regiment community members came together and held an actual service for the guy, with multiple speeches, a 3-volley salute, and dozens of people in attendance. I don't really have much more to say. I didn't know the guy, but this is a really nice and cool thing to do. And you rarely, if ever, see this in gaming communities. If you're a fan of Mountain Blade and Napoleonic stuff, you should honestly really give HOLDFAST a try. It's a fun game and a funny game at the same time. Also, I didn't really say this, but it's not an abandoned game either. HOLDFAST gets plenty of updates still. Even if it didn't, from what I've seen, it has a pretty cool community, at the very least. The overall takeaway with HOLDFAST, though, is that they need to make more pirate adventure games. Now. Habbo Hotel is a fiendish Flash MMO from 2000. It was pretty popular, but not to the extent of other big Flash sites like Club Penguin. It has since migrated off Flash, mainly because that shit don't exist no more. I got this recommended to me a bunch, both here and on my Flash game video, which you should check out by the way. And it seemed like it would be a good fit. I'll be upfront with this one though. I have literally never played this and have no attachment to it whatsoever. It's had some controversies due to some shenanigans, naughtiness, frolicsomeness, but this video isn't really about that kind of stuff. What I'm gonna do is take a look at it from a complete outsider's perspective. Hopefully Habbo veterans and others like me who have never even seen it find it interesting. Let's check in and see what's here. One thing Habbo old-timers might not know is that Habbo has like 3 versions now. We've got Habbo, Habbo Origins, and Habbo X. I'm pretty sure Habbo is the original game. Habbo Origins is a recreation of the original game, and Habbo X is their shitty NFT version of the game. I think we're just going to stick with the first 2. Originally, I was going to start out with the modern version, but this game genuinely was just not working. I tried Origins, and it was the same story. I did a bunch of troubleshooting and Googling, and deep in the trenches of reddit.com. I found some guy say you've got to launch it through app data, so I did that, made an account, and we're stuck with Origins because I don't want to do that again. Apparently Origins is the one aimed towards adults. So if there's any kids watching, scram. Get out of here, you little rascals. So from what I've gathered, the area we're seeing here is about what you would have seen back in 2005. I kind of like it. It's got charm. I was getting used to the controls in the lobby, and I am a big fan of the big hand. I had a look around all the major public areas, places like the lobby, the gym, the pool, and it was a little weird seeing them all dead empty aside from the NPC in each one. I expected at least a couple stragglers hanging out in these common areas, even if they were just AFK players. I legit don't think there was a single person in any public area. Even the cinema was empty.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time has come for the incredible checking stick.
I get that most of these areas aren't super big, but holy shit, you move really slow in this game. Any map that's slightly bigger than a hotel room is a pain to get around. Now to be fair, this game is a glorified chat box, so it doesn't really matter that much. Still annoying though. There better be a sprint and stamina bar in the newest versions. After looking around the starting areas, slowly, I didn't really find much that wasn't just regular hotel stuff. Imagine that. So I had to look at the custom player-made floors. Now I'll be honest, these were also all basically nothing. This is mainly because there's a set list of furniture you can use and you only got so much space to put it. So every room in this game is limited by those factors. Instead of going over every single floor saying,
Whoa, this one had 6 chairs. Whoa, dude, holy shit.
here's me busting a move in most of the ones I saw. Those were neat. The only real room of note I want to talk about is this one where this dude has just been sitting here AFK for who knows how long. There's a bunch of sticky notes on his wall where you can leave messages, completely uncensored, and as you can guess, I really can't show most of these. The notes were pretty much all completely full, except for one, on which I left a short, vaguely threatening message for him. That's it for Habbo Origins though. Maybe I'll look at the original eventually if I figure it out. If I do another Flash video, it'll likely be in that. I only learned after the fact that Habbo Origins is like less than half a year old. I thought this had been out for like at least a few years. It's a bit sad that even this close to launch, there is barely anyone playing it. I wouldn't be surprised if they nuke it at some point in the near future. So if you're a classic style Habbo fan, be sure to get on this while it's still here. Web City Office Towers 3D World is one of the sketchiest, weirdest, and most obscure games I've ever come across. I can 100% guarantee that you haven't seen this game before. This is an office simulation business game meant for corporate use from 1997. Somehow, some way, for some reason, its servers are still up today. This is without a doubt the strangest looking and feeling game I've ever found and ever will find. Just to give you a taste of things to come, the website's tagline is this: modern-day virtual Atlantis for new age business and space travel. We're in for a good time here. But before we get too ahead of ourselves, let's start with some background stuff instead of diving headfirst into the game itself. We'll begin by looking at their website. If you're a reasonable person, you probably think that this was just some weird simulator that was left running because someone forgot to turn off payments for the servers. Well, you're wrong if you thought that. This one got an update in 2022, celebrating their 25th anniversary, and many updates before that as well. Even their copyright info is updated for 2024. With that said, only like 5 people in total have played this one within the last few years, as seen on the leaderboard. I also noticed that the bulk of the players here were just like Guest 48, Visitor 6, and other stock names like that. Upon a little more research on the page, I saw that the deluxe subscription package gives you the ability to change your name. You can get your grubby little mitts on this for the low price of $75 US a year, plus a $25 initiation fee. And that's just for the first tier. The other ones have their price and perks hidden until you purchase the first one. Being able to change your name is the only perk you get, by the way. That's all you get. $75 a year. That's all you get. To be fair here, I did also read that just by playing the game, you can earn currency tokens that you can buy the subscription with. They're called cyber qubits, and you make the equivalent of around 60 cents an hour by playing. Basically, you only have to play for a very brief 166 hours of Web City Office Towers 3D World in order to pay off the $75 a year plus $25 startup cost. Easy money. For a little glimpse into the lore of and surrounding the game, their webpage has a few things that hint at what's to come. The latest entry on the Happening Now section for news and current events reads as follows: the stars await you in the realm of the gods and extraterrestrial life. The beginning is the end is the beginning. We are aligning ourselves with the world's scientific data and research in the fields of space exploration and extraterrestrial life, among other important subjects. The information is used in the planetary system implementation at Office Towers. The ultimate objective of the game part of this world is to discover and learn the truth about sensitive matters and evolve collective thinking Each time you successfully access a higher level, you selectively become in contact with others that have attained similar level of achievements by joining shared social spaces, the purpose of which to increase the signal-to-noise ratio. Here it is not mass quantity that matters. Instead, we want to cut through the information overload and misinformation that is generally taking place. The cherry on top is the ultimate knowledge sphere of social interaction. Thus, our logo, which we call the Neosphere. Find it and you'll know you are getting close. Your last challenge will be to get inside and unlock a secret dimension feature you can be sure to appreciate. And it doesn't end there. This will actually be the beginning of new understandings, discoveries, and passion for the true meaning of life. This journey will take us beyond galactic stars, into the omnipotent realm of the gods themselves, moving our souls into a new kind of human race, until the cycle has come full circle. This game is meant for actual businesses to use for like meetings and stuff, in case you forgot. This is for like boardroom meetings. They've also got some more lore if we head over to the Atlantis tab. Don't worry, I'm not going to read this one out in full. It's a few pages talking about how the world that this game takes place in is one in which Atlantis is a super advanced civilization that was never lost. All business is done in Atlantis. I will become the CEO of Atlantis. It's about half a page of that, and then like 2.5 pages of ancient Greek mythology lore dumping that has nothing to do with the game. The banner of the site also prominently displays a message that a new era began like 4,300 something days and like 16 hours ago. I don't have a clue what this means or refers to. The homepage also just has a whole section with links to NASA, like they're an affiliate or something. Maybe they are, who knows. The bottom of their page has their actual affiliated websites, and NASA is not one of them. I guess they're just big fans. If you were waiting for some high-quality gameplay, I've got news for you. It's on your screen right now. This is some footage from 2011, posted on the developer's channel. It shows some intense, high-octane gameplay of her driving to the office, climbing up several flights of stairs, and attending a business meeting to discuss business. If you look real close and really squint your eyes, you can even make out that they were playing NASA videos up here during the meeting. Anyways, I wanted to start off with this because we are not going to see anything like it in the actual game. There will not be a single person there when we play. Originally, I was going to leave this with just this gameplay that the dev posted, because like look at this, are you kidding me? But I manned up, put on my big boy shoes, and I took the plunge. You can only play this on grossly outdated versions of Firefox, Internet Explorer, not Edge, or the Pale Moon browser, which I've never heard of, but I ended up going with that. Seemed like the safest bet. I've probably been remotely accessed by some Venezuelan super hackers now, but whatever. It's for the bit. Alright party people, it's time to get down to business. Somehow when I made an account, I was given the title of Guest 1. This game was trying to tell me something here. I'm the one. So these characters to select here, they look like glue. I don't even know what to say about these. Like, they feel like a joke. Some of these literally have spelling errors, like Casual 1. They have had 27 years to fix that. At the end of the day, I had to go with the iconic Alien 1 character. Also, this bouncing DVD logo watermark is just part of the game. I can't get rid of this, so get used to it. Kind of annoying, but what do you want from me? Now, we looked at the leaderboard of this game. That wasn't a joke when I said like 5 people in total have played this over the last year or two. Now, despite that, in a frankly absolutely absurd coincidence, and this is real, this isn't a bit, someone was on this game 6 hours before me, leaving a few messages in the chat too, basically saying, how is this game still running? The previous messages were months beforehand. If I was on just a tiny bit earlier, I could have seen this person. Maybe we could have even struck a few business deals. Sadly, by the time I got there, they had already clocked out for the day. We're officially in though, and holy shit, you move quick in this game. I am just straight up zipping and zooming around the map. You have to pay an unknown amount of money for one of their ultra packages to drive the cars, but I think just running is faster. It's also hard not to notice the incredible graphics on display. These are definitely distinguishable as office buildings in a 3D world. I took a little peek at the map, and on top of all the Atlantean and space stuff, we've also got ancient pyramids in the mix now too. Not on the map was the fact that once you reach level 5, you can go to space. I have no idea how to level. This is supposed to be a real game, by the way, for businesses, in case you forgot. This office tower here had signs on each floor for what types of businesses could register for said floor. Most floors were normal stuff, you know, finance, real estate, that kind of thing, but the final floor was for UFOs. Aside from that one in the starting building, most of these office towers are completely empty. There were like 2 with stuff, one of which being The Club, which had nothing but a MIDI jukebox in the corner to listen to awesome MIDIs. These didn't even work, by the way. The other building with stuff was the building from that 2011 video uploaded by the devs. It had everything from that. I even found the little boardroom where they were discussing big business and watching NASA videos. Sadly, since I don't have the Omega subscription for $300 a year, I couldn't interact with the chairs or the TV. Again, it also meant I couldn't drive the cars or the fucking APCs that they have. I tried heading into the subway tunnels to see if I could take the train to the Atlantis pyramids, but these were like a maze of maintenance tunnels more than anything. I was actually getting pretty lost down there, just sort of mindlessly wandering around, but eventually I came across all my alien friends. The whole family was down here. There's my bro Gleebnub, that's Nebub, way in the back, that's Schleebu. Where did I just end up? Out of absolutely nowhere, by the will of Atlantis, Zeus, I guess, I was warped right to the base of the pyramid. I was chosen. I am the one. I scaled this thing all the way to the top and got a beautiful view of the entire world. My world. I had become the CEO of Atlantis. Mission complete. And with my goal wrapped up and having reached level 5, I finally returned home. To space. I was sent up to a viewing pod where I could overlook all that I had conquered. It was incredible. Everything I saw was under my control. This is what success looks like. I took it all in and accidentally ejected from the satellite. I plummeted towards the JPEG of Earth with no regrets and died on impact. Alright, cool. Now that we've got the game out of the way, we can get into the weird stuff. Let's start off with a real brain boggler. Despite this game looking, feeling, and playing like it was made in 1997, as well as advertising its 25th anniversary in 2022. I found a few articles from around 2008 talking about how the game was entering beta around then. This came out the same year as GTA 4. I think that the 1997 part is literally when they first thought up the idea or started development, which would still be just as weird because that meant that this took over 10 years to make. Either way, this just makes the game even more of a puzzle. And speaking of puzzles, there are a lot of pieces to fit into this one, as their website links to a bunch of others that are all connected in some way. It's a lot of weird and very obscure old internet stuff. Honestly, it's pretty cool that they're still up. We'll start things off with 3dnetproductions.com. From what I can tell, it doesn't actually have much on it aside from linking to office towers, but damn if it doesn't just scream 90s. It also has a really ominous soundscape that plays, and combined with the scrolling mission statement at the bottom, this feels like the beginning of a cyberpunk movie. We build network software applications since 1992, work on web development since 1995, and began constructing 3D worlds in 1997. This one is like the last website, but slightly more up-to-date with the info that's on it. The site is an acronym, if you couldn't tell, with 3DNPVEI, standing for the 3D Network Professional Virtual Enterprise Initiative. Both of these websites are run by the 3D Office Tower people, if you couldn't piece that together from the iconic Neosphere being used as the logo on these. Also, for some reason, both this and Office Towers have locked their emails due to spam abuse. Whoever was spamming the Office Towers developer, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? This site has basically been frozen in time since 2012. I tried to use the Wayback Machine to get a better look at all their sites over the years, but for some reason, all of the Office Towers associated websites have been manually excluded completely from the Wayback Machine. Why? I don't know. I seriously have no idea. It's weird though. Another site linked was one called VR Internal. It's got some browser games on it that are pretty clearly running on the same engine, likely made by the same people. There's one game on here called TV Republic, which claims to be a cyberpunk MMORPG simulation of a real country. But it's just like a big grass field with a house. Now, I didn't notice when I played, but a tiny bit into this 3D Office Towers video by the dev from 2012, there's a teleport destination called TV Republic. I take it to mean that these two games are part of the same cinematic universe. That's not it though, as the VR Internal site linked to another one called VR Space, and this one had a full-fledged browser VR game. Let's take a look. We are once again in a character creation screen, and this one, you could be Spider-Man, the Cap, the Clones, or Hatsune Miku. Now, despite having to enter a name and pick a character, you could just walk out of the character creation screen without doing any of that. Actually playing some of these levels, this felt like I was playing an extremely old VR chat prototype build or something. There really wasn't much to see, and it felt very unfinished. Also, some of the rooms had 1 out of 1 player, so I couldn't even join them. Who was playing VR Space at 8 PM on a Monday? I have no idea. I joined one that was some kind of test map with a floating sky dolphin, and during this, another Miku showed up named Recorder64. They just stood there, recording. I got out of there after this, and the dolphin level was then locked with 1 out of 1 players. All that was left after this were maps that were basically no better than Google Street View, so I left. I mentioned earlier that I didn't know if this and VR Internal had any actual connection, but with a bit more exploration on the VR Internal side, I found another game called Virtual Monastery that had a sign saying, "Credit to Joe from VR Space." So there is a real connection between these two. Let's take a look at their band. Alien X Syndicate is a virtual reality band. They travel to strange worlds around the Milky Way galaxy and spread their music everywhere they go. Now we're talking. This is real, by the way. They've got a SoundCloud with some songs on it. Their songs are, their songs are something. Just so you know they're serious. They even have merch. Be sure to pick up an alien sticker for $4.89. The band also has a Facebook that posts some pretty funny shit that I don't think is meant to be funny. We are not alone. Presidential alert. Heavy metal aliens are coming to rock this planet. No action is needed. It was pretty hard to miss that watermark floating around the screen during 3D Office Towers, so I looked into what that was. I don't think this company is run by the Office Tower people, but I did find something pretty interesting. This company that helps with like the graphics of Office Towers, they sued the United States of America's Navy and won. Yeah, in 2016, the studio that made the graphics software for 3D Office Towers sued the Navy over copyright infringement. Apparently the Navy installed it without any contracts or licenses in 2013, and from there it was pretty much open and shut. The US Navy lost to Web City Office Towers, 3D Worlds, graphics rendering software's developer. Now, after everything we've looked at, you might be wondering, what kind of person or company is behind Web City Office Towers 3D World? Luckily, I've got the answers for you. The channel linked on the game's website, which has videos of Office Towers from all the way back to 2009, has more than just footage of the game on it. Believe it or not, we've got more music to look at. Let's take a peep at Metal Thrashing Mad, featuring Mohawk Bob with his 49 Rat Rod. Mohawk Bob is a new lore character, by the way. Write his name down, it will be on the test. The music video is a, quote, twisted remake of Metal Thrashing Mad by Anthrax. It's got the Office Tower dev and owner of Alien X Syndicate, Zedra Rocks, on guitar. It's also got like really weird, distorted vocals, footage from the Mad Max game, and Mohawk Bob's famous Rat Rod. Like halfway through the video, it swaps over to an alien singing, and it genuinely feels like a weird ARG or something, but like this is all real. In some of the other music videos, she's green screened and slightly out of focus. Everything here feels like a late night Adult Swim bit or something. I kinda love this channel, and I wish there was more of it. With all that said, go show Zedra Rocks some support. This has provided me with more intrigue and entertainment than almost anything else I've looked at. So at the end of the day, after everything we've seen, everything we've been through, what can we learn from Web City Office Towers 3D World? Aliens are real. They're in your house right now. I'm not kidding. Aliens are real.